Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is Wednesday, the 26th of February 2025. You are watching Morning Brew on Politics Social, and I am Graham Hughes. If you would like to join Billy and Koala Meat and Lee Korn and Sarah Davis and One Angry Pagan and Martin Harrow and Paul Ewan in the chat, all you need to do, hit that little subscribe button below the video, and you'll be able to add your opinions, if you want to, but don't be a troll, or we will mute you and boot you. Right, so we're going to be talking about this meeting that's going to take place on Friday this week, on the 28th, which is a special day for me because it's my birthday. Volodymyr Zelenskyy, is going to Washington, apparently, to finalize this deal that has been set up between Ukraine and the USA. It started off with Ukraine saying, hey, we've got all these natural resources in our country. You wouldn't want anything to happen to them, like them being taken by Russia, and you would think that, like, America would think that was a bad thing. But America's run by a Russian agent at the moment, which we'll come back to time and time again in this show, I'm sure. So, the Americans came back with, Trump came back. Putin there. Silly little Freudian slip. So Trump came back with this deal that he had for $500 billion worth of Ukrainian resources. There isn't even $500 billion bloody dollars worth of Ukrainian resources in the ground. Like, the idea that we're going to get, it was absolutely ludicrous. Now, the same deal, minus that bit about the $500 billion, which was nonsense, looks like it's coming onto the table. And Zelenskyy is going to be going over to Washington to sign it. And I don't think he should. I think he should sign it, but not necessarily go into the lion's den in order to do so. And I'll explain all this, because I think there are potential dangers of the Ukrainian president going to America to meet with Donald Trump, who is a Russian agent. With Trump in power and a Supreme Court of placing him above the law for anything he wants to do, up to and explicitly including a political assassination. You have to understand that in the Supreme Court last year, when arguments were being made against giving the president divine right, absolutist, monarchist, kingly powers, the argument was made that the president could send in SEAL Team 6 to assassinate his political rivals. And the Supreme Court went, yep, he can do that. Okay, you got to understand that. So that's the base we're going from. And so with this minimal deal, obviously it is absolutely critical to the future of Ukraine as an independent state that this deal goes ahead in return for security guarantees from the USA. That's what Volodymyr Zelenskyy is trying to get out of this. But at the same time, this could well be a Kremlin-driven play to lure Volodymyr Zelenskyy onto enemy soil, which now is Washington, which is the new Kremlin, I guess. And it could end very, very badly. So let's talk about the Supreme Court ruling last year. It says that Trump is now above the law. The implication is that if Trump decides to arrest or harm Zelenskyy, there will be no legal recourse. Like, what legal recourse is there? I'll tell you now. There is none. Sorry, spoilers, but there would be. Trump could legally kill Volodymyr Zelenskyy in the Oval Office, and he wouldn't even have to pay for the cleaning bill. And let's have a look at Trump's track record. The impeachment in 2019, the first Trump impeachment, was after a phone call with Volodymyr Zelenskyy demanding a quid pro quo in return for aid that had already been allocated to Ukraine by Congress. So the money had already been allocated. Trump comes along and says, no, you're not getting that money until you get me dirt on Hunter Biden, my political rival's son. That's what I wanted in return. And he was impeached for this, but obviously he wasn't found guilty. He wasn't actually sanctioned for it because you need 60 of the votes in the Senate to sanction president, and you're not going to get that with the Republicans in the House calling the shots. We've also got Trump's clear admiration for Vladimir Putin and his pro-Kremlin rhetoric, repeating lines, word from Kremlin propaganda, calling Zelenskyy a dictator, saying that it was Ukraine's fault for starting the war that started when Russia invaded, blaming NATO for going too close to Russia, the thing that was set up to stop countries being invaded to Russia, for being invaded by Russia. They say, oh, it's too close to Russia. It's like, okay, well, if you're not part of NATO, what happens? Well, let's have a look what happened to Ukraine. Hey, it got invaded. Tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of people are now dead as a result of Russia, the Kremlin, Putin. Mercenaries from North Africa, the Middle East, and North Korea going over to Ukraine to murder women and children at the behest of the madman in Moscow. And Trump thinks this is great. Trump thinks this is wonderful. He has a personal beef with Zelenskyy because he blames him for that first impeachment. And he absolutely loves Putin. He's so far up his arse, he can wear him as a hat. And there's also the historical context. Like 2018, there was the meeting in Helsinki in which Trump sided over Putin, not against Europe, not against Zelenskyy. He wasn't actually elected then, I don't think, but against the US intelligence agencies. He sided with the dictator, the murderous, the barbarous dictator of Russia, the guy who implemented assassinations on British soil, one of which led to the death of a British woman, Dawn Sturgis, murdered by Russian operatives on British soil. Could you imagine that the other way? Could you imagine British intelligence sending an agent over to Moscow to go and assassinate someone that was saying mean things about Britain on the internet, and they accidentally killed some Russian woman? You think that woman wouldn't have her portraits on every billboard in the land? Remember Valentina, it'll say everywhere. How dare the British do this? How dare the British send their operatives to our soil and murder one of our innocent civilians in an attempt to shut down any dissent against the British crown? Come on. Let's be sensible here. They wouldn't stand for it. But we do. Because we're weak. And we suffer from a failure, a lack of imagination. And then you've got the evidence of Russian influence in Trump's this administration. You can see it in the last one, but in this one, it is just centre forward. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can see it with your own eyes. As Rory Stewart said a couple of days ago, he said, there's nothing that Trump has done in his first month of office that would upset the Kremlin in any way, shape, or form. Like, if this was the Kremlin's agenda, then this is exactly what it would look like. He would change nothing. No notes. No notes. And the US's quite shocking vote this week at the UN, voting with North Korea, Belarus, and Russia against Europe. The first time in the history of the United Nations that has ever happened. America, as a country, as a nation, sided with the fucking Russians over us. Our bezzy mates, yeah. Our bezzy fucking mates. Our special fucking relationship. Yeah, that's out the fucking window. I tell you, if this carries on, you can bet your bottom dollar that in just a few years' time, we will be at war, and the baddies aren't going to be the Germans anymore. They're going to be on our side. Do you know who the baddies are going to be? America. America. siding with Russia and North Korea. Don't forget, Trump loves himself a dictator. He had a really lovely meeting with the murderous, barbarous dictator of North Korea. Had a really lovely meeting with the murderous, barbarous dictator of Russia as well. Telling all of his Secret Service aides to go away. While he has a little chat with his handler, Vladimir Putin. And let's look at some of the possible scenarios here. Zelenskyy goes to Washington on Friday, and he's arrested for war crimes against Russian-speaking separatists in Ukraine, following the guidelines of Kremlin propaganda. Trump could detain him as a bargaining chip in negotiations with Putin, hand him over to Vladimir Putin to suffer the same fate as everyone else who's pissed off Vladimir Putin, who he has murdered with polonium, Novichok, blown them up in a fucking plane, thrown them out of a window, tortured them to death. Because that's what he does. Because the man is a fucking butcher. You saw what they did in Bucha. We saw what they did. There's no getting away from that. The man is a war criminal. And, you know, it's no surprise to see America going after the ICC, the International Criminal Court. Because they want Vladimir Putin, and they also want Benjamin Netanyahu. Because they're war criminals. And so America's not having that, because they love themselves a dictator. They love themselves a butcher. They love themselves a psychotic, murdering serial killer. And yeah, there's the other option that, you know, well, there's a couple of options actually. The one that, you know, wouldn't be as bad would be Trump orchestrating some kind of like power play, you know, like a show of power by forcibly removing Zelenskyy from US soil. And then there's the nuclear option, which I can see Trump doing. He's hanging out with fucking lunatics, ket-addled lunatics, like Elon Musk, who is off his tits on drugs. If Elon Musk wasn't rich, he would be a sketchy meth addict in a warehouse somewhere, a disused warehouse in the corner under a torn, moth-eaten, rat-eaten blanket, shivering away in the cold, muttering to himself about how the lizards rule the world. But he wasn't. He was born into money. He went to a fucking private school. His daddy owned a fucking emerald mine in apartheid South Africa. Well, in the time of apartheid South Africa, I think the actual mine was in Zimbabwe or somewhere. Botswana. Don't know. So what's to stop him? What is to stop Trump doing anything he wants to Zelenskyy? You tell me. You tell me. The 25th Amendment says power to the people. Ain't gonna happen, mate. Ain't gonna happen. Half the American population will be horrified and shocked and dismayed and burst into tears. The other half will fucking love it. The other half will be like, yes, he got what's coming to him. Because they think that the entire fucking world is WrestleFucking-mania. That's what they think in their stupid little fucking lizard brains. Oh, it should be all like WrestleMania. It's not real. It doesn't really affect real people. Let them all suffer. Let everyone just suffer. And then you've got this mineral deal, right? So what's really going on with this? So Ukraine has reportedly agreed to a mineral deal with the US, giving access to vast natural resources. Ukraine has said, listen, you know, we're not freeloaders. We understand that you've given us lots of money, and so yeah, you deserve something in return, which is a Trump mindfuck, isn't it? Because no, the defense of Ukraine does not cost us money in the same way that good public transport links don't cost us money, because in the long run they save us money. In fact, like they save our societies. It's like aid over. You can't explain to a Tory why aid is important, right? You can't explain that to them because they're too fucking thick to understand, or they're too lazy. I think they can't even be bothered thinking about this. to understand that if we allow countries to go to rack and ruin, that will come back and bite us on the arse because everything's connected. All these Britain first, America first, it's as though they live in a vacuum, but they don't. We are completely reliant on our neighbours, on our friends, on other countries around the world, which is why Brexit was such a terrible, terrible, terrible idea. Because now we're seeing it. We fucked around and now we're finding out. As our economy is fucking anemic. Our economy hasn't fucking grown since 2008. It's going to be nearly 20 fucking years of our economy going from 1997, it was 1.5 trillion. In 2008, it was $3 trillion, right? That was our GDP. And I know that's not a perfect way of measuring stuff, but that's what it was, right? It is still $3 trillion. It's still the fucking same. Here we are, 18 years later, and it's still the same fucking number. 17 years. And that's because of the ABCs. The ABCs of the Tory dickheads. Austerity, Brexit, COVID. I'm not saying that COVID was their fault that it happened, but their response to COVID was fucking diabolical. And then we had the D, which stands for dickhead, which is talking about bloody little Miss Truss, who's still flapping around at the CPAC conference, making fucking weird warbling noises, like the weird little warbling bird that she is.
Well, if they'd let me, if the woke agenda would let me do the thing I wanted to do, I could have done it.
Yeah, all right. Liz, your own constituents told you to fuck off. Take the hint. Go find a rock, crawl under it, stay there. Well, actually, no. I'll take that back, Liz. You do you. You continue making a complete arse of yourself and everyone, by extension, everyone who ever supported you or supported the Tory party. Go with God. Go with God. Oh, someone's got a noisy car. Brum brum! I'm a very special boy. Look at me. Dickhead. Right. So Ukraine holds about 19 million. Well, there's 19 million tons of proven resources of graphite. Reserves of graphite. They've got a third of Europe's entire lithium deposits, which are important for batteries. They've also got significant rare earth materials, metals, like titanium, and they've also got coal. And the graphite and lithium are going to be really, really important for powering the green revolution because they're needed for batteries. And no one, I might, you know what? You can ban certain words from the chat. I might ban hydrogen. Would that be really petty for me to ban hydrogen? Because I'm sick of hearing about fucking hydrogen. It's not going to work. It's never going to work. It's bullshit. It's magic, okay? It's just magical thinking that hydrogen's going to come and save the fucking day. We don't need it. We have wind turbines. They work. We have solar panels. They work. We have lithium batteries in every bit of electronic kit in the fucking world right now. It fucking works, all right? Just leave it. We've got it. We've got it sorted. Don't worry. Jesus. Just in case anyone was going to do that. The US demand for $500 billion, as I said earlier, has been reportedly dropped. But as yet, there are no firm security guarantees that have been offered. And the last time I checked on the story just before I came online. So I don't know. It might have changed in the last half hour. Who knows? In the last 19 minutes. And this deal for the Ukrainians is giving the Ukrainians basically the right to fight on. Okay, but what does that actually mean? I mean, is that giving the US the right to fight on, or is that giving the Ukrainians the right to fight on? It's not really clear. And does this deal bind the US to protect Ukraine, or is it just merely there to exploit its resources? I would say it's probably the fucking latter. And how much of this deal benefits Trump personally? Like, obviously, everything about him is about him. It's not for the good of the country. It's not for the good of the world. It's not good about anyone else except what is good for Trump. And, you only need to look at the history of Trump's business dealings in Russia and Eastern Europe to understand the way his horrible little fucking lizard mind works. I've got to just say, I'm going to stop the show for a moment. I can't fucking wait until I never, ever, ever have to think about Donald fucking Trump. That fat-faced orange motherfucker. That fucking what's it wanker, that Cheeto fucking Voldemort, ever, ever, ever again. For the last fucking, since forever, last 12 years, all we've heard is Donald fucking Trump. And I just want him to be fucking cast into the ground and forgotten about for the entirety of the rest of humanity, the rest of the history of humanity. We never mention him. We just never mention him. He's just the person who's like Voldemort. The fucking he who must not be named. I fucking cannot wait till the day they carry that motherfucker out of the White House in that fucking box. Because I just don't want to see him. I don't want to see his ugly, stupid motherfucking face ever again. I'm sick of hearing about him. I'm sick of hearing every fucking brain fart he comes out with on the news every day, on every fucking front page of every fucking news site. It's just, it's totalitarian. It goes back to when I was in Syria in 1999 and every fucking lamppost had a picture of El Presidente on it. Al-Assad's daddy before he died. And every fucking lamppost, there it is, you know? Just and it was just like, what? Does it need to be, do we need to see his fucking face like 17,000 times a day? Do we? Because I don't think we do. I fucking got out of Syria, didn't I? I was like, okay, well, you know, that was good. Palmyra's pretty fucking cool, but like the rest of it, bit oppressive. I don't want that. I do not want that for me, and I don't want it for you, and I don't want it for anyone else. Why should we be forced to look at and to talk about these horrible, grating motherfuckers? It's like being forced to watch a film that's shit every fucking day for the rest of our fucking lives. Go on, Graham. I know you hate this movie, but you're going to have to watch it again and again and again. And I'm like, I don't want to watch it. I want to get on with my fucking life, thank you very much. I've got things to do, places to go, people to see. But no, we've got to stay here and we've got to talk about Trump to the fucking heat death of the fucking universe, and it fucks me off. In a way that we wouldn't have to talk about Kamala Harris. I probably wouldn't be doing hour-long shows if she had got in. I wouldn't be doing stateside. We'll still be doing Geoscope because there's interesting stuff going on in the world, but America could just, you know, potter along, you know, sorting itself out. But no, we couldn't have that, could we? We couldn't have that because that's not what the Kremlin fucking wanted. And as we all know, we all just had to bow down to what Vladimir Putin wants. A guy with no nuclear weapons, a guy with a fucking army filled with fucking odd job fucking mercenaries from all over the fucking world because he's killed all his own fucking men, hasn't he? Twat. Anyway. Paul Ewins dropped a super chat in. Thank you. That'll cheer me up. Go Graham. Monetization. We've got you back. Thank you very much, Paul, for the £5. And Alan Phillips says masterly rant. Yeah, I'm sick of it. I just wanted to stop to say I'm fucking sick of it. Anyway, back to the lesson plan. So yeah, this how you know, looking at the Trump's dealings and stuff like that, and the fact that there are no security guarantees at the moment. You know, the key Ukrainian demand for security for Russian reinvasion is missing, and could this mean that Trump is giving up to cut Ukraine loose once this deal's signed? I mean, Trump has a history of going back on his deals, reneging on his deals. He does it all the fucking time. He doesn't pay his contractors. He doesn't pay his lawyers. He doesn't pay his accountants. He's a fucking horrible little shit. He is the most horrible man who has fucking lived since Hitler. And he's just as fucking cowardly. He's just a fat little coward with an orange fucking face and a gold fucking toilet. A Nepo baby, writ large. It's all the Nepo babies, all of them. You know, they hate Zelenskyy because he's not a Nepo baby. You know, he made something of himself. Trump went to private school, Nepo baby. Fucking Elon Musk, private school, Nepo baby. You know, born into money. And they think they're because they won the lottery before they were fucking born. They think they're the masters of fucking everything. Everything they put their mind to. God, I can't wait to watch them fall, though. That's the one thing that I'm looking forward to. The fall. Bring on the fall of these motherfuckers. Alistair, thank you very much for the £10 super chat. Funds to cover for more rants, Graham. Keep them up. Oh, thank you, Alistair. I just wanted to get off my chest. I hate him. I absolutely hate him. When he carks it, I'm gonna have a fucking party. I know I keep saying this, but I'm gonna have such a fucking party celebrating the goneness of that motherfucker. And I'm sick of this whole, oh no, but you can't say that. You can't wish death on people. I'm like, why the fuck not? They actually inflict death on people on a daily fucking basis. So how about, I wish they were no longer part of this mortal realm. How about I just wish for that? No, you can't do that, Graham. Oh, no, that's going too far. Trump once threatened to nuke an entire country, North Korea, on Twitter. And he had the power to do so when he tweeted that. Yeah. But, I can't wish death on him for some reason, because I'll get demonetized. Whatever. Anyway, so, Zelenskyy is incredibly brave. We know he's a brave man, standing up against Putin and going around the world and getting other countries on side. He's a great public speaker. He is fantastic at his job. He is Ukraine's Churchill. And he always puts his country first. And that's why he's going to go to this meeting, from which he may never return. But he has to go because it's not about Zelenskyy. It's about his country. It's about the people who have fought, the martyrs who have fought over the last 3 years, over the last 11 years against this Russian aggression, against this Russian invasion of their lands. He stayed in Kyiv under bombardment. Don't forget, he was given the opportunity to leave Kyiv when the Russian tanks were rolling in 3 years ago, exactly on this date, 3 years ago, actually. He was given the option to leave, and he said no. He stayed there under bombardment to lead his people. He rallied his people, and he maintained morale, which he still does. There's a famous line that he said when he was elected, to not put pictures of himself up in government offices and things like that. He said, don't put a picture of me up on the wall. I'm not an idol. I'm not Jesus Christ. And he said, put a picture of your children and look at them before you make a decision. That's leadership. That is leadership right there. And that is something that Trump and Musk and those little Nepo baby fuckheads who ruled this world and have convinced half of the fucking population of the planet to punch themselves in the dick at every fucking opportunity. It's something they'll never understand. They will never understand honor. They will never understand integrity. They will never understand respect. Those words mean nothing to these fucking creeps. Anyway, so this is a calculated gamble. I mean, there is a strategic necessity for this. Ukraine has dire need for international support, both militarily and financially, and the possibility that this deal could be the only path open to Zelenskyy for continued US aid. And it's all well and good, us in Britain saying we're going to increase military spending, we're going to increase aid to Ukraine, across to Europe, saying we're going to increase the aid that we're giving, but without the American dollar coming in, by the time we get to that point, it might be too late. I don't think that Ukraine's got a couple of years to wait for this to all kick in. So yeah, Zelensky's not a stupid man. He knows the risks, and he's still choosing to go. And he might believe that the optics of Trump having him arrested would prevent Trump from doing so. But I don't know. I think that the American people have been cowed into submission. And this is something that we need to realize about America, and probably about Britain as well. I'm not putting us above this. We're weak. We've turned into a bunch of armchair football managers watching history documentaries going, oh, yeah, I could do that. When the reality is, we absolutely couldn't do that anymore. We couldn't do that because we're not brave enough. We're not brave like Vladimir Zelenskyy. A lot of us would like to do something, but we can't because of health problems. But also there's a lot of people in this country who would not fight for this country. And what they'll do is they'll say they'll fight for the country. They'll go on and on and on endlessly about fucking poppies and lest we forget and all that shit. But when it came down to it, they'll go, oh no, sorry, I'm not fighting for this country because it's too woke. And you know they fucking would. The duplicitous bastards who wear their Spitfire pajamas with pride for a plane they never fucking flew in. They never had to fly in. And if they had to fly in it, they would shit their pants and run away. So that's a worry. Oh my God, Andrew Dixon. £200. Fucking hell. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you. Holy fuck, dude. As Leapshin just said, oh my God, I've got to unleash the ultra chat. Andrew, thank you so much, mate. Mate, thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Here's a top up for your post-Trump party. Keep up the good work, Andrew. Thank you. That is so generous. That's amazing. Thank you. Jesus, to just spend the rest of the show just saying thank you to Andrew Dixon for that outrageously amazing super chat. Wow. Wow. Well, sorry, not super chat, ultra chat. And we got an ultra chat. Thank you. Oh, that gives me hope. That gives me hope for the future of this tired and weary world. There are good people out there. There are a lot of good people. And I've got to remember this. And I know I get upset. And I know I get angry. I know I get emotional about what's happening in the world right now. But visiting all those places on my journeys and meeting people from all walks of life who just wanted to help. It's a memory that I hold on to. And that's my most precious memory. Because I need that to keep going. Because I need to know that most people are good. I need to know that. People can be misled. People can be stupid. People can be lazy. But essentially, most people want to do good. There are only a handful of psychopaths out there. Unfortunately, they're in charge in America right now. But they're not in charge here. And we should remember that. But yeah, Andrew Dixon, thank you so much. Thank you. Double mega chat says Russell Cannon. Very nice, Andrew says Danny. We've got Happy Enough saying awesome. Veg Pie saying amazing. Legendary. Maze. Ultra. Thank you. Thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you. Okay, so where was I? So yes, I was just saying that, Zelenskyy might be banking on the optics of Trump arresting him looking really, or worse, looking really bad. So, him refraining from doing that. And Trump, if Zelenskyy can appeal to Trump's ego, then that's always going to get him, stand him in good stead. So the idea that Trump has brought peace to Ukraine, like he said he would give him a boost in the polls. And Trump knows that in a way that arresting Zelenskyy probably won't give him a boost in the polls. I don't know. I mean, amongst certain MAGA people, it would, because Zelenskyy is not just Ukrainian, but he's also Jewish. And don't forget what the neo-Nazis in Charlottesville were chanting as they marched. They chanted, "The Jews will not replace us." So those dickheads running Israel at the moment who think they're going to be immune to worldwide fascism if the dominoes start to fall, they'll be left alone. Will you? You want to bet on that? Did you see what happened last time? The fascists took over? Did you see what they did to the Jews? Yeah? You don't think they'll do it again? Is that a bet you're willing to make? Are you willing to gamble not just your life, but the life of everyone you know and love on that? Okay. One Angry Pagan, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. Zelenskyy is indomitable, honourable. He is an honourable man. And he's very good at his job. He's very, very good at his job, and Ukraine is very, very lucky to have him. I mean, imagine if Britain got invaded and we had fucking Boris Johnson in charge. Jesus Christ. Oh, Liz Truss. Liz fucking hiding under the table Truss. Anyway, so there are still the historical parallels that we should mention here. The historical examples of foreign leaders being detained or worse when visiting hostile regimes. And make no mistake, the USA is a hostile regime now to everywhere but Russia and North Korea. And Trump's authoritarian moves over the last few weeks, since purge of the inspectors general, federal workers, anyone who chose to oppose him. He's got rid of two of the key members of the Joint Chiefs for being a woman, one for being black. The militarization of law enforcement under Musk's Doge initiative, and what I mentioned at the top of the show, Who's to stop him? The Supreme Court backs Trump's absolute power with no constitutional barriers left. No guide rails, nothing. No consequences. Trump is a man who faces no consequence for anything he chooses to do. And what happens if Trump decides there and then to label Zelenskyy an enemy combatant or a terrorist? You know, those 9/11 laws, the Patriot Act kicks in, and he could do whatever he likes. Send him off to Guantanamo Bay, lock him up in a room for the rest of his life, or worse. With no evidence, no habeas corpus, no bringing him before the judge to decide if he's done anything wrong. And then you've got the broader geopolitical implications. If Zelenskyy is detained or worse, there'd be immediate global outrage. But what concrete actions could possibly follow? Are we going to declare war on the USA? No, we're fucking not. How would Europe respond, especially if the UN, the US vetoes any action in the UN, which it probably will do, because one of the things that they want to do in the US, Project 2025, is destroy NATO and destroy the UN. I mean, the UN's got no power anyway, but even the cultural side of the UN, the US is angling to pull out of UNESCO. So it's not even have a cultural dimension. It doesn't have a political dimension. It doesn't have a military dimension. And then, for Russia, this could mean the elimination of a staunch anti-Putin leader, a fucking fantastic leader of Ukraine. It would give them the potential to install a puppet leader in Ukraine and also demoralize the Ukrainian resistance. And then this would obviously be the breaking point for NATO, which is what Trump and his acolytes seem to want. And Europe would have to distance itself further from the US, accelerating Friedrich Merz's call for European independence from American security guarantees, which I absolutely agree with him, are absolutely necessary. See, even a conservative is even a broken conservative is right twice a day. So yeah, it's a really, really precarious place for the world to be in right now. February 28th. It could go down one way, it could go down another. So what should Zelenskyy do? I mean, he could sign the deal through intermediaries. Is there a safer third country location for the negotiations to be held in, like Switzerland? Go meet up in Switzerland where everyone feels safe. Should Europe set in? Could Macron or Starmer act as intermediaries? Should the UN offer security guarantees to Ukraine independently of the US? I think they should. And then, the role of the media is there to keep the spotlight on Zelenskyy's visit to prevent any foul play on behalf of the Trump administration. But then Trump has banned AP, the Associated Press, from going to the White House because they won't call the fucking Gulf of Mexico the Gulf of America, which is not its name. Its name is the Gulf of Mexico. It's been that name for hundreds of years. That's its fucking name. Can't unilaterally just change it and then expect a international news gathering organization to go along with it. Complete overrule of the First Amendment there, by the way. God, imagine if it was the Second Amendment that Trump just overruled. Oh my God. The need for real-time reporting from the media and transparency from the media, which isn't always a given in Trump's administration and Trump's media empire that's up his arse, Murdoch and Fox News and OAN and all those twats. And even the newspapers like the New York Times and the Washington Post, and they're all fucking run by dickhead, bastard, billionaire gobshites who will ferment their fascist agenda one way or another. It used to be that the newspapers in America offered sensible understanding of the issues, but whereas the TV stuff was mad, whereas we had sort of sensible stuff on the TV and our newspapers were mad. And now in the UK, we've got GB News and we've got, our TV being mad and our newspapers being mad. GB News has reappeared on our smart TV, and I don't think that's very smart. I spent a long time deleting GB News so it wouldn't come up as an option when I turned on the TV, because I hate seeing its stupid inbred logo designed by some fucking fifth form fucking intern who's just turned up to, I don't know, because his daddy owns the company, probably. Hello, I play the banjo for Mumford and Sons. Oh, look, I've designed a logo for you. It's shit. Anyway, yeah, but it's very sad the way that the madness, the clamor for just absolute lunacy every day on a daily basis, the rage bait has inflicted itself on American newspapers and on British TV. And it's always been backed by some billionaire gobshite who just wants to set the world on fire. Literally set the world on fire. Because that's what they want to do. They want to drill, baby, drill. So, yeah, to sum up, I mean, I just want to acknowledge the incredible bravery of Volodymyr Zelenskyy up to this point and beyond. Trump's increasingly dictatorial behavior is a huge danger. And I think that there will be a point where he is reined in one way or another. You know how I want him to be reined in, but I don't need to say it explicitly because I'll get demonetized forever. He will be reined in at some point. And at the moment, though, he is still riding the crest of the wave, the red wave of blood that propelled him into office at the behest of Moscow. Everyone who voted for Trump basically working for the Russians, working for the KGB or the GRU or whatever the fuck they call it these days. FSB, isn't it? The flying spaghetti bastards. I think that unmarked F-16 dropped a 2,000 pound turd on DJLT was Ukrainian. Bold predictions. Zelenskyy outlives Trump and MAGA. Well, I hope we all outlive Trump. Nick says, I've asked this Ferdinand moment, and so many people are asking about the band. Do you know when you wrote Franz Ferdinand? My first thought was the band. But obviously, you're talking about the assassin of Archduke. The guy who was assassinated by Gavrilo Princip, Archduke Franz Ferdinand in Sarajevo in 1914, which led to World War One. So that happened. Whisper says, I'm American. I've been following our politics since the 70s, started as a kid. This has been 45 years in the making. I'll go into detail, but it's way too many posts to it. Whisper, you're absolutely right. For the post-war years in America, the Democrats were in charge, nearly all of it. For the first 50 years, they ruled the House, and they made sure that there were protections for workers, that oligarchs and CEOs couldn't have too much money, that monopolies were broken up. America prospered. This is the age that fucking Trump says was when America was great. And it was when the Democrats were in charge and helping the middle class to become, actually a thing. It didn't really exist before the war. And so people got to live the American dream. And yet the rich people, the Nepo babies, that second generation that came up after them, were like, oh no, hang on, I don't want this. I don't want these people having stuff. I just want me to have stuff. More stuff for me. Me. And so the Bible of greed was invented, given by the Heritage Foundation in the 1970s when it was set up. They gave a handbook to fucking Ronald Reagan, the Project 2025 of its day. And he started talking about trickle-down economics and all this bullshit. He took off all the regulations. He shut down departments that made sure that people didn't get away with fucking murder and not paying their tax, and allowed corporations and CEOs to just run riot. And here is the consequences. America fucked around, and now they're finding out. Britain is as well. We did the same thing in the 1980s under Thatcher. We privatized everything. We privatized the fucking water in the air. I mean, for fuck's sake. We privatized the water companies. No one does that. We privatized the fucking post system. I don't even think America would privatize the fucking postal system. It's fucking ridiculous. How are you going to make money sending a letter to the Outer Hebrides? It shouldn't be run as a profit-making business. It should be run to, make enough money. But, we had to privatize absolutely everything. Now Britain's got nothing to fall back on. No way of making some passive income from the trains or from the water companies, or from the gas. Like, how can you have multiple gas companies? You can't. You've got one pipe, kind of multiple different pipes of gas going to people's houses, and you choose which pipe to use. You can't do that with fiber optics. You can't. Putting in these competitions in natural monopolies, just madness, absolute madness. But yeah. This has been a project for 50 years now in America, to make the world in the image of the CEOs, the psychopaths, the billionaires who want everything, want all the resources, and don't want anyone else to live the dream. Live the dream. That's what they want to take away. And that's what Brexit was. I always mention this. Brexit doesn't affect the rich. Brexit doesn't affect the rich whatsoever. They can afford to pay extra for everything. They can afford to pay £7 for a pint of lager. They can afford to pay for the visas and pay for the permits to go and work anywhere they want in the world, actually. But, specifically in this case, in Europe. You've got Nigel Farage's horrible little crotch spawn, his sex trophies. They get to have German passports for some reason. And Tommy Ten Names currently languishing in jail, much to the chagrin of Elon Musk, who's like, oh, why is this guy in jail? Because he broke the fucking law, dickhead. We have laws in this country and we abide by them. Unlike you, in your fucking state, wherever you live. Apparently he's got Canadian citizenship. Did you know that? I didn't know that. He's got Canadian citizenship. They're trying to revoke it now because obvious ovs. But yeah, just the fact that you've got so many people who just think that, Brexit is this wonderful thing. It's like, no, they've taken the rights away from you, but they haven't taken those same rights away from themselves. They told you to do this, and you did it like a fucking chump. And I'm sorry that you weren't born intelligent. I'm sorry that you were stuck at the back of the class drawing knobs on the textbooks when you should have been paying attention in school. I'm sorry that life hasn't turned out the way you wanted it to. But the way to make your life better is to make everyone's life better, because a rising tide raises all ships. And what do they do instead? No, I want my next door neighbor to be as miserable as I am. Instead of saying I want the billionaires to be miserable and everyone else to be happy, no. Worship the billionaires, worship the golden fucking calf. Tell you what, there's not a single Christian American who voted for Trump who's going to heaven. If it existed, which I don't think it does, but, if it did, they're all burning in hell. They are all burning in hell. Someone needs to tell them. Some charismatic preacher who can get the ear of people and has a really good way with words needs to fucking tell them that they are going to burn in hell unless they turn against Trump. Not saying how they have to turn against Trump, but, it'd be good if they did. Alistair Kerr, thank you very much for the £5 super chat, my friend. Graham, have you seen the petition for Marks & Spencer to stop advertising on GB News channel? I posted it to let the chat know also. I didn't know there was a petition for that, but I know there's a thing about Sky News or Sky TV not advertising on GB News anymore, and the link for that should be in the description of this video. If you have a look for that. So yes, and also get on to Alistair Kerr's petition there as well. I posted it in the chat, let you know. Brilliant, thank you. Nick and Diff, I was reading some Blue Sky posts about historians studying the KKK, and he said they were remarkably normalised. They did kids clubs and all sorts of things that were just seen as everyday stuff. Yeah, so did the Nazis. They had Hitler Youth, which was like the Boy Scouts. So these groups where they would go out into the wilderness and put up a tent and carve stuff out of bark. Yes, the poor victimized billionaires, says Danny. Yes, indeed. Tell them Jesus was a socialist. Well, no, because socialist that's a bad word in America. I don't think it's a bad word. It's a great fucking word. You show me a socialist state that actually worked. Britain after the war. The American army's pretty fucking socialist, mate. It's all paid for by the American taxpayer. Sounds pretty fucking socialist to me. What, you all pay towards this big common thing and then that common thing protects you all? Okay. Whether it's the NHS or the American military, it's fucking socialism. That's what it is. And I think we need to have a level of, if we're going to live in capitalist systems, we should, hopefully this is capitalism on its last fucking legs, but whatever. You need to have socialist principles to rein in those capitalist urges to do what Musk and Trump are doing right now. Because that is unfiltered, unfettered capitalism. That's what it looks like. That's the ugly, goddamn, mashed twat of a face of unbridled capitalism. That's what it is. Exactly that. You look at Musk, you look at Trump, not for too long, because you will vomit. They are capitalism personified. Mr. Burns from The Simpsons, capitalism personified. Even in that episode where he tried to do good because he lost all his money, and he worked with Lisa to clear up the oceans of plastic. He then realized it was more, better for him to, use that plastic to trawl the oceans of all its riches. Because he's capitalist. And he will keep going and keep going and keep going until someone says no. And that's what socialism does. It says no. And that's why that word is such an anathema in America. Because they can't bear it. They can't bear that idea that there might be another way, that we can rein in these powerful people and bring them to heel. No. You got to let them do whatever they want, whenever they want it. Anyway, a nightmare. Yeah, talking about rent and fucking cost of living. Jesus Christ, like our energy bills are just horrific. Like we shivered all through fucking winter. It's not so bad now because it's getting a little bit warmer, but like in winter, I'm sitting here trying to work at this desk, shivering away, wearing a coat, wearing my big fluffy fucking hat, with fingerless gloves like fucking Fagin. It's 2025. Why am I in a fucking house freezing my arse off? Like, why? But Thatcher gains loads of funds for government via BP and then sold off the oily gold goose. Yeah, indeed. Nick and Div, I was truly shocked. I thought they were more fringe. Shows my ignorance of American history. The KKK have been quite mainstream in American history for a long time. I mean, since the 60s and the Civil Rights Act, obviously, their activities have died down a lot since then, but they still exist. They just come out like cicadas every 13 years or so to feed. Okay, so we're gonna hit the papers for a moment, if you don't mind. We've got the Mirror here. Posh and Pex, Bex on life at nearly 60. Oh no, 50. God, he's only 50. And then we've got Kelly. I don't know who Kelly is. I hate it when they do this in newspapers. They'll have a celebrity and they'll just go, Kelly! And you're like, who is it? Kelly Clarkson? Kelly, I don't know. I don't know. Ned Kelly? Is it Ned? Is that Ned Kelly? I don't know. I've lost friends because they have children, she says. Okay. It's worth putting on the front page of a newspaper, isn't it? PM start warning. Starmer, we can't hide from Putin threat. Defence gets £13.4 billion boost, but Fury as aid budgets cut. That's it. That is an absolute killer for me. The idea that we have to take money away from some of the poorest people on the planet in order to defend ourselves against fucking Vladimir Putin. That's Vladimir Putin killing people around the world, by extension, killing babies around the world, by extension, because we can't give the aid money that we should give, because that's not aid, it's an investment. It's an investment in making sure those countries don't fail, because if those countries fail, that means more headaches for us down the road and it'll cost us more money. Zelenskyy to sign deal with the US there on the front cover of the Times. Meeting in Washington this week set to seal defence accord. Move comes as Starmer pledges to boost UK military spending. We've got a new runway for Gatwick near takeoff. So they're getting a new runway at Gatwick as well as a new runway at Heathrow, apparently. Badenoch, AI reform not fit for purpose. I don't think she knows what she's talking about, but we've got PMQs later today, I think. So join us at 12 o'clock for that. Yes. And then we've got Alison Pearson. I am taking the police to court. I don't know if that's how she speaks, but I just imagine that's how she speaks. And then we've got Timothy Dalton there saying, I'm sad Amazon is taking over Bond. Well, I think everyone is. We don't want Amazon doing anything really, do we? Because it's run by a gobshite, a Trump-supporting oligarch gobshite. Then we have the Prince of Wales there, meeting the England manager at Windsor Castle. Well, there you go. That's nice, isn't it? There's nothing else going on in the world, is there? There's a guy and he met some other guy. They had a handshake. Let's put that on the front page. The guy's handshake thing. Is there a big tournament this year? Do you have a World Cup 2025? Do you have a Euro Cup? Do we? No? Oh, okay. Why is that on the front cover of the newspaper? Why is that news? I mean, if England were playing and they got through to the semi-finals or something, maybe put the England manager on the front cover of the newspaper, but someone explain it to me, please. Explain it to me in words of one syllable, because I'm feeling pretty fucking thick today. Reeves calls on Europe to set up matching 2.5% defence spending will help achieve peace in Ukraine, says Chancellor. Non-hate crime incidents could be renamed instead of scrapped. Sorry, non-crime hate incidents could be renamed instead of scrapped. Okay. Frequent flyers face paying more under government climate plans. Good. 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 And then we've got The Guardian here. PM cuts overseas aid to increase defence budget in fight for peace. BBC, we fell short over Westwood misconduct. Are they talking about Tim or are they talking about Alexander? Because there's two fucking sex offenders who worked for the BBC and were protected by the BBC, both of whom's names ended in Westwood. Now, I don't know if Alexander Westwood, whose crimes are just off the fucking charts, Jesus Christ, please don't read them unless you're feeling, unless you're feeling sane, because if you're already feeling a bit delicate and you read what this fucker did, then it's too much. It's too much, right? Tim Westwood went to private school, which is where he learned to be a sadistic rapist fuck, allegedly. Alexander Westwood, I don't know. Maybe he did go to private school. I can't find out. If anyone can find out for me, that'd be great. Let me know. Let me know what school he went to. I will add him to the private school mafia. I mean, he might not have done. Lots of people out there who are bad didn't go to private school. It's just that there seems to be a particular brand of sadism, a particular brand of thinking that the rules don't apply to you. That comes from people going to these see you next Tuesday farms. These, middle-class madrasas where they train terrorists to terrorize the rest of us. Poor mortals who might want to have a nice life, might want to have a good job. Can't have a good job. I'm DEI. I'm a DEI hire. Apparently. I didn't go to private school. Peer linked to apparent cash for access venture. This is about Lord Evans of Watford, 82, who is a Labour member of the House of Lords. He was during discussions about a commercial deal worth £25,000, which he shouldn't have been. So get rid of him. I'm sure Starmer will give him the short shrift, as he often does in these circumstances. Please don't destroy our family farms, says this delightful little carrot moppeted bloody crotch nugget. From the heart, young Lee and his letter to the Chancellor. Farmers' children have urged Rachel Reeves to reverse inheritance tax, which will destroy the future of family farms. No, it won't. No, it won't. You're set to inherit millions of pounds. It's only going to affect a handful of very, very wealthy landowners who have used this loophole for many, many years to ride roughshod over the inheritance tax rules. And it's one of the reasons why the Duke of Westminster, when he carked it, he bequeathed over £10 billion to his son, who didn't pay any inheritance tax whatsoever. That's not fair. Do you see it's not fair? So piss off, Ginger. It's okay. I'm Ginger as well. Only a ginger can call another ginger. Daily Mail. Was that not the Daily Mail? Oh, that was the Daily Express. Daily Mail here with Demi Moore looking fantastic. And then it's how to spend your retirement on a never-ending holiday. Must be nice to retire, eh? The people who read the Mail can retire because they're part of the generation that socialism built and looked out for. And then they took away that socialism, and now we don't have the chance of ever retiring for our generation. But I'm sure you're having a great time. There was an article on the BBC website the other day where it was all like about some old people who were just like, oh, we're not selfish, we're not wealth hoarding boomers, and I'm like, yeah, you are. Anyway, PM, hard power now matters more than foreign aid, and stick thin Hollywood women are giving my Ozempic a bad name, from Sarah Vile. Just go away. Just everything about the Mail and the Express just absolutely gives me the ick. Bozo Johnson finally says something true. Liar says liar is a liar. The only honest thing he's ever said. Biggest rise in UK military spending since the Cold War, with missile shields, ships and drones on shopping list. Starmer cuts British aid budget to accelerate defence spending to 2.5% of GDP in 2027, then 3% next Parliament, as Trump turns his back on Europe. Missile system, new combat ships, and AI weaponry being considered. UK submarines and French jets will be Europe's nuclear shield from Putin. I don't think we need a nuclear shield, but I'm not willing to bet my confidence on it. Half of remaining foreign aid budget will be spent on processing channel migrants and housing asylum seekers as aid agencies react angrily to cut. That's wrong. That money should be going to people in other countries who are struggling to stay alive. Shouldn't be going on fucking processing channel migrants. That should be a whole separate department. New era of military cooperation declared by UK, France, and Germany before Starmer flies out to Washington for crunch talks at the White House, which is tomorrow. And we've got the Financial Times here. Ukraine agrees to US minerals deal in effort to mend ties with Washington. US drops the £500 billion revenue claim. Kyiv hopes for security guarantees and key details yet to be agreed. And then this horrible statistic about 50,000 babies every year caught in the trap of domestic violence because people don't know. People don't know. And it's one of the reasons why I always felt like you should need to, if you need a license to fish, if you need a license to drive a car, you used to need a license to own a dog, which I think should be brought back. Absolutely 100%. I would be for dog licenses before someone is allowed to have a dog, because there are people out there who do not treat animals well. And if they do not treat animals well, they shouldn't be allowed to look after animals and torture them, because that's what they do, right? I think there should be something similar with being a parent. Now, let me finish, because I know some of you are going to go, what, Graham? What is this authoritarian? I'm going to decide who can be a parent and who can't be a parent fucking bullshit. No, this isn't. This is not social Darwinism, okay? This is definitely not eugenics. This is when you're having your first child, there are parenting classes that you can go to, right? Prenatal classes, right? And people choose to go to them. I want those classes to be free. I also want those classes to not necessarily be compulsory, but if you do not complete the course, you get put on a list. And social services come and check. That's it. That's the rule, okay? So you don't have to do the course with your first kid. You don't have to do it with your second or third. Just the first kid that you have. You need to do this. And if you don't, it's not compulsory. Like I say, not compulsory. But if you don't, we'll keep an eye on you. We will have monthly visits to the house to just see how you're getting on, to stop this kind of thing happening. Because there are people out there who can't even look after themselves, never mind a newborn baby. And I don't give a fuck who you are or what you've done or whatever, or how you're getting your life back on track. If you cannot care for a baby, then the state needs to step in and say, look, the baby's rights absolutely trump anyone else's in this situation. And if the baby needs to be given support or even taken into care, that's something that should be available to the state. But at the moment, we just don't know. And what these sick motherfuckers who do horrible things to their own children do is they take them out of school, they homeschool them, and then nobody sees their injuries. No one sees the bruises. No one's there for the child to confide in without the parent being in the room. Evil, controlling bastards. And it's why, like I say, I don't want it to be a license to have children. But for those first kids, and it's both parents, by the way. Both parents have to attend. Okay? That's the rule. And if one of the parents chooses not to attend, fine. However, you will get visits to make sure that obviously the single parent who's looking after the kids is getting on okay. And it doesn't have to be an onerous thing. It doesn't have to be like we're coming to check on you with a clipboard. They just have to show that they love their child and they're doing their best. And they're not harming the child. That's the main thing. So yeah, that's it. Crazy Man says, it's a trap! Yeah, I think that as well. Nick says, I read Abolish the Monarchy by Graham Smith, and oh my goodness, it shows them as a rotten lot. They absolutely should go. Just a bunch of scroungers. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I agree. I agree. I think that the wealth of the Crown Estates is it's off the charts. And just this week, the Plaid Cymru tried to bring in a rules to say that they could control the Crown, the Crown lands, the Crown Estate in Wales in the way that it's controlled by Scotland in the Scottish Parliament in Scotland, and but that was backheeled by Labour, which is a bit disconcerting. But yeah, I know the Crown Estate is operating in such a way that makes money for the Treasury, but at the same time, they're charging. In Prince Charles's private fucking fiefdom, King Charles' private fiefdom of Cornwall, they're charging ambulances to park, thousands of pounds. That in Liverpool, because it's historically part of the Duchy of Lancaster, if you die without leaving a will and no dependents or next of kin are found, your money goes to the monarch. Even if you're a staunch anti-monarchist, your money, your worldly goods goes to the monarch, which is ridiculous. It should go to the state. It should go to the fucking state. Guillaume the Bastard sounds French, and they chop their royals. Guillaume the Bastard. Mike says, Jacob Rees-Mogg wants to know if it's nanny or mother that is checked up on. And says, I need to educate my sister more, though. She's come a long way, but she still believes too much crap. It's an easy trap to fall into because it's everywhere. It's totalitarian. It's everywhere you look. It's bullshit. There's bullshit everywhere. And we have bullshit overload. We had two things. We have sort of the overload of choice, don't we? Because we have too many choices now. It's like we're all just let into this grand library where there's just every wall is just books and books as far as the eye can see, and our brains just can't take it in. It's just too much information. And then you got the other thing is just, like, people are busy. People are fucking busy. They're getting on with their lives. I don't understand that people don't have time to look into the minutiae of fucking politics and what people are saying and what they said in the past, and how duplicitous some of these motherfuckers are, like Nigel Farage and all those twats. And yeah, they don't have time. They just say that sound bites. And people say, oh, politics is all about sound bites. It always was, mate. We should fight them on the beaches. You don't think that's a great fucking sound bite? I do. Peace in our time. I mean, it wasn't true, but it was a great sound bite. Sound bites have been around since forever. I mean, we used to call them quips. It's like woke has been around forever. We just used to call it manners. I don't want people with manners. I don't want people who are decent. I know people who are civil. I'm part of the anti-civil agenda. Yeah. I'm going to stop people being civil. Florida is where where civil comes to die. Yeah, poor old civil. Krasnov says Deers, which is Trump's code name from when he was a Russian agent. Was a Russian agent? Please. Is Sam, bet the talks between the US and Russia agreed to Russia getting their land back, which Ukraine currently hold, but Russia keeping land in Ukraine. Yeah, absolutely. There's areas of Kursk in Russia which the Ukrainians have taken, that they'll have to give that back, but the Russians aren't going to give anything back. They're going to give an inch. They're not going to give an inch. Josh says, I like that. Manners is woke. Yeah, it's just called manners. Before woke, it was called political correctness, and that was just being nice. Just not being horrible. Not calling people names unnecessarily, not ruining people's day by bullying them. Is a Russian agent? He is. Captain Call in Lonesome Dove. I hate rude behaviour in a man. I won't tolerate it. Yeah. What a woke thing to say. It's all woke these days. Anyway. One thing that's not woke is Kemi Badenoch. And she's also not a very good leader of the Conservative Party, so we can please join me later today to have a good old fucking laugh during PMQs, which, along with a bunch of other stuff, I wouldn't be covering had things not gone the way they have. But, like, she's so hilariously bad at her job. It's kind of like a joy to watch her flounder and try and make points, and she hasn't got the ability to think on her feet and actually respond to what Starmer says in his answer to her question. She just asks the next question that's down on a little fucking notepad in front of her. No matter what the answer was, she can't do a follow-up. She'd make like the worst police officer. Do you know what it's like? Right? Do you know what it's like? So, you know when you call up, like, help desk or something, or customer service, and it's very clear from the outset that the person who's talking to you is just reading off a list. And, like, even though you answered that question, like, 3 questions before, they ask it again in a different way, because I'm sorry, I just had to go down the list. That's what she's like. She's like a fucking call operator who's had half a day's training in Bangalore. It's like, what the hell? Really? You're going to put her in charge of the Tory party? Brilliant. Leave her in place. Leave her in place. Please keep her in till 2029 so they can lose the next election magnificently as well. Keep it up, Kevy, says Mr. TSK. Yeah, indeed. She's doing a fantastic job of making the Tories look like twats. Anyway, I've gone a little bit over time, obviously, because you're worth it. You're absolutely worth it. But like, just a big, massive, huge shout out to Andrew there for the £200 super chat. Andrew Dixon, thank you so much. So kind, so generous. It's a shorter month this month. We're not going to be able to do as many shows. I'm not going to be able to host the show on Friday night because it's my birthday and I'm going out with family and friends. So yeah, thank you. Honestly, mate, that means a lot. It means a lot. Really appreciate it. So thank you. And thanks to everyone else for watching. Thanks to everyone who's contributed to the chat. I'll socialize the chat. I love the way this jogs along. I love the way everyone's having a conversation and people are talking to each other while I'm yakking on about stuff. And I'm sorry I don't get to read every single message, but obviously there's quite a few of them and it will probably get a bit tedious after a while. I'm sure me staring at the screen, reading everything. But thank you, really. Thank you for sticking with this channel. And if you're watching and you haven't subscribed, please do so, because it just takes a second to hit that subscribe button. And it really helps the channel out. It doesn't cost anything. If you are feeling a little tiny bit more flush, and you'd consider contributing a few pounds a month to this channel to keep it going, please consider joining us and becoming a member of the channel. Just press the join button and sign up, and you will get a lovely little rose after your name and your name in the end credits, which I need to update. So I'll try and do that before Prime Minister's questions. If I can do it quickly. It's a bit of a job because it changes every time someone new comes online or someone's membership elapses. I've got to change it. So it used to be something that I'll just do maybe once every couple of months. Now I'm having to do it like twice a week. So yeah, I'll get that sorted, and hopefully by the end of PMQs, you'll be able to see the message come up to everyone, and you'll be able to see your name there if you are a current member of the chat. You can also join us by Patreon if you don't want to join YouTube. The link is in the description. So thanks very much for watching. Give a like on the way out. We always like a like here on Politics Social. Again, doesn't cost anything, but it helps feed the algorithm and gives us more chance of actually appearing on people's feeds in the future. So thank you very much for watching, and until 12 o'clock today, when I'll be back with PMQs, I'll say thanks for watching, hello, good evening, welcome, and goodbye.